Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel, A Year in Books with Zoe. I am of course Zoe, and then I honestly don't have like a ton to talk about this week. I am reading The Banned Bookshop of Maggie Banks, which I'm like 30% of the way through. I really like it. It's really cute. It's got really good vibes. If you're looking for something kind of chill, at least so far. It might get less chill later. I would definitely recommend reading it. Follows Maggie, who had been living with her parents, kind of floating from job to job, when her friend Rochelle asked her to come take care of her bookshop while she is on maternity leave. And so Maggie comes and realizes that this is kind of a unique bookshop. It's specifically like goes around this guy named Edward Bell, who was alive in the late 60s, I think. And there's only books that he would have read during his time period. And so she is kind of like, this is dumb. Nobody wants these books. But because one of the shareholders is kind of like really into that, because it's his grandfather, she has to kind of start selling regular books, like newer books, under the radar, and planning events under the radar. So we kind of have that going on. And she wasn't a reader at first, but an author comes into the store who is a local author, a romance author, and Maggie decides to read one of her books, and she realizes she actually really likes reading, and so she starts reading all these romance books, which I love. I love getting to experience a character, learning that they love reading, because I love reading and I'm a big book nerd. And I like the book snobby stuff in here because I think no matter who the reader is, we all have a little bit of book snob in us, especially when it comes to classics. You're either a snob in that you love classics and you think they're super superior, or you're a snob and you think that classics are horrible and like not worth our time. I would say that I'm kind of like in the middle. There's a lot of classics that I really like. I love Their Eyes Were Watching God. I love The Color Purple. I love Rebecca. That book is so good. There's a lot of classics that I really, Little Women. There's a lot of classics that I really, really adore, but there's a lot of classics that I'm like, why? Like, I hate The Scarlet Letter. And honestly, I think it's because Hawthorne's personality comes out a little bit too much, and I hate his personality. I actually read a book, Hester, which is like a fictional retelling of like how the character Hester was inspired, and Hawthorne is like such a loser in that book, and I love it. I'm there for it. If you like Hawthorne, I'm sorry for the Hawthorne slander. I just am not a big fan of him. I mean, there are parts definitely of The Scarlet Letter that I really liked, but lots of parts I didn't. And I used to be a big Catcher in the Rye fan, but I've read it 3 times, and like, honestly, to like Catcher in the Rye, I feel like you have to be in that really angsty period of your life where you're like, where you're just like Holden. And so I definitely read it when I was really angsty. I read it again and I was still like kind of angsty, so I was still like, yes. And then I read it again in later high school and I was like, ew. The Great Gatsby, I love. I've read that twice as well. The first time I was pretty young, I didn't really understand it, but the second time I was like, yes, thank you. I actually have a book that's a Gatsby retelling, Self-Made Boys. I haven't read it yet, but planning on reading it this year. I'll let you know what I think, compare it to Gatsby, and yeah, because it's one of those books I like. So I think like like I said, complicated relationship with classics, especially like super old classics, and how our education system works. I think that it's more important to inspire people to love reading than to make them read books that are classics. Because the reality is, like, a lot of books that we're reading now that are popular now are going to be classics in the future. Probably The Hunger Games, probably Twilight, Harry Potter, unfortunately, stuff like that will be classics in the future. And that's just kind of like the reality. And so I think that we can let people read things they like and learn to love reading, because I had a professor in college who said it doesn't really matter what you read, it just matters that you do read, because it's so good for your brain. It improves your reading skills. The more you're reading, the more your reading skills improve. Especially, I mean, you have to be comprehending it, so you want to be reading things that you understand that are on your level. But it also improves your writing skills pretty significantly, because as you're reading, you're absorbing the writing style of the author. And I mean, like, yes, some authors have a horrible writing style, and you don't want to replicate that, but, you know, it could be good. That professor also told me that I didn't read enough, and that's why my writing wasn't great, but whatever. I was like, okay, I don't think I can read more than I already read, without like stopping doing literally everything I do and just reading. That was a tangent, but that's just kind of how I see it. I do recommend this book so far. I really like it. I have a feeling that I'm going to really like it and enjoy it when I'm done reading it, and probably want to read more books by this author, Shauna Robinson, because she has some other books about books, and you know, I just love books about books. I love books about books. I love books about bookstores. I love cozy books. There's just, sometimes you just need something relaxing. I'm not really sure what I'm going to read after this. I just got a bunch of books on Kindle because I had a gift card, and I'm signed up to all these newsletters that tell me when there's sales on Kindle, and I went a little crazy. I got like 7 books. But I also have lots of other physical books that I need to read. I have some arcs that I need to get to. And next month is Monster Mash March. So monster romance books. For me personally, other people could just be reading books about monsters. You know, I have my 4th Ice Planet Barbarians book to read. I have another Katie Roberts book to read. I have I Fell in Love with the Mothman to read. So I'm excited. Get excited about it. If you know of any other ones, anything else like that, let me know. Even if it's not monster romance, if you know any other good monster stories, let me know. Monster books, especially if it's like more monster lore and monster hunting type stuff. I have some people that I know who are really into that, so if you know, let me know so I can pass it along to them and maybe even read it myself. But yeah, I am enjoying my reading. I am writing a lot. Yeah, I will hopefully have this book finished soon. I've been reading it like crazy. Like, I'll sit down and I read like 30 pages plus. The other night I was just like reading. I'm like, it's time for bed, and I'm just like But yeah, anyways, thanks for sitting with me and chatting with me. I will see you next week, where I will probably wrap this up, maybe start a monster romance book, maybe let you know some recommendations that I have if you also are interested in participating. But yeah, thank you, and I will see y'all soon.